Hey guys, how's it going? Owners here, and welcome to a new Formula SimRacing video. The 2016 season is currently in round 15 in America, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. You join me for qualifying. We're about to get underway here. Of course, you'll see us driving out of the pit lane. Like I said, round 15, the battle for the championship is pretty much over in terms of drivers' championship. We managed to pick that up last round in Malaysia. However, the constructors' championship is still very much so underway, so to say, still very much a thing, with the last two rounds being left, including this one, Circuit of the Americas. The 2016 season consisted of 16 races. So if this is the 15th one, then of course it's the penultimate round of this season. Like I said though, you're joining me on my qualifying lap. I felt reasonably confident for this weekend. There was only 1 week break in between Malaysia and this track, which isn't a lot. Usually there are 2 weeks of a break where you can prepare yourself. However, this round was basically back to back with Malaysia, in the sense that it was only 1 week where you had a break. And that is not really a lot, because usually during the midweek you go to school or you go to work or whatever you have, and you don't have that much time to practice other than in the evening. Whereas if there's 2 weeks, basically you can use 1 weekend, a whole weekend so to say, to practice a bit. So that's a little bit of a disadvantage, but the same applies for everyone. So you know, there's not anyone who's having a disadvantage or anyone who has an advantage, I guess. Qualifying lap then, currently in the second sector. We just completed the first sector, and now this is an interesting one. Coming into this weekend, I did a 37.2, I think it is, or is it 34? I think it's 37.2, which was my PB, and this is actually my first qualifying lap. This is obviously a DRS, so the DRS is wide open here, braking heavily just before the, I was about to say just before the 100 meter board, but it was actually more just after the 150 meter board. Perhaps could have braked a little bit later there, but I have to say something, and you'll notice it especially during the race. The brakes are my Achilles heel of this weekend. I don't know why, but the brakes were simply not working for me at all. Especially obviously when you slow down from like 300 kilometers an hour to something like 80. That's where you are very hard on the brakes, and it didn't really work well for me. This was the first qualifying attempt that I had though. DRS is again wide open obviously, and immediately after the first lap you match your PB, and that was amazing to see after the first attempt matching your PB. Daniel Kiss whispered, "I don't think you have to go out anymore." And there was a bit of a good sense of humor, I guess, by Daniel Kiss. After the qualifying run that we had where we matched our PB, he sent a message to me privately in the game. He said, "You don't have to go out anymore," I think, or something in that sense. Pole then, by about 3/4 tenths. Right, we know what to do. If the situation demands for it, we can pit in lap 12.
Yeah, I think we should just...
If we have a 14-second lead, then, you know.
Right.
But yeah. I doubt we will, but you know.
Can you be 1 second a lap faster than everyone else, please? Because that would make my job a lot easier.
Well, same for me, but I can't.
So let's go all out with the fuel, obviously, at the beginning. Again, we only need to do about 7 or 8 laps of fuel saving, and we can do that later in the race. Did you go for 6 or 7 on the radiator?
7. Who was in P3?
Journey.
Okay. And Kiss P5.
Hoyer P5. Kiss is P8.
Oh, okay.
Brewer is P4. So you got Brilliac behind, then Journey, then Daniel Brewer, then Michi Hoyer, then James Sadler, then Patel, Kiss, Paresis, Stefanko.
Yeah, what's going to be important here, obviously, the focus is absolutely on the constructors. You can see it at the bottom there. Those are 19 points separating us and Twister Racing. We are starting from pole position and second place with Brilliac here for Twister. I think Brewer was 5th, and obviously because it's a Constructors Championship, we are going to look the last 2 races at our teammate as well. Our teammate Daniel Brewer You may remember Kuba Brzezinski, who was our teammate before. He basically lost motivation, stepped out halfway of the season, and we had to find a replacement for him. And you know, it's not easy to substitute a person like Kuba, because he is very fast, puts in a lot of efficient work into a weekend, and by that I mean he doesn't necessarily need, well, let's say 15 hours to practice and find the right thing. He basically can do it within 2 hours and get the right values on his setup and give them to you. I know that Kubas will say himself that he knows nothing at all about making setups, but he basically was the opposite of what I liked usually in terms of setup, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes I would copy values from his setup, for example, and see if they worked for me better or not. But like I said, it's hard to pick a replacement for Kuba, and there will be no rain in this race at all, I can guarantee you of that. But with Daniel Brewer and Daniel, yeah, you have to be honest and say that he is probably not on Brzezinski's level. I think he will even agree on that himself. But one thing which is definitely on his hand, so to say, is his advantage. Is that he is improving very rapidly in the last couple of rounds. With that said, the lights are already coming on for a 56 lap race. They are out now, and we start from pole position, having a reasonably good start, keeping Brujak behind for the moment. Brujak will be on the inside of turn 1. Simotic somewhat around the outside. Brujak goes for it on the inside of turn 1 and actually takes the lead. I hope to retake him back, getting a better exit. We are side by side coming into the S's, but Brujak stays ahead and is ahead after the first turn. So that's a good start from Brujak. Not necessarily good defending from us. I was quite afraid with two cars being alongside me, one on the inside, one on the outside. I guess I took my eye too much of Brujak, and I had my eye too much on Simotic going around the outside, and that allowed Brujak to go on the inside of us and take the lead in this race. That's a bit of a bummer, but 56 laps to go. You have to play it smart. This race is long and it's not over yet at all. I would rather get overtaken by him in lap 1 than I would get overtaken by him in lap 54. Obviously, still plenty of time to go. There's not really a big pack here. I don't know what happened. Maybe at the start a few incidents, but usually that battery of cars, so to say, in lap 1 going down this straight is is bigger, or should be bigger. That's at least what I expected. Nonetheless though, Brujak obviously in first place, we are in second. I think Brewer has dropped as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think Brewer is in 6th. So Brewer has dropped the position as well. It's not ideal, is it? I mean, Brujak is leading now. I don't necessarily know where his teammate is, Daniel Kiss. However, what is so important in the Constructors' Championship is a victory. And why do I say that? The difference between getting a victory and second place is 7 points. And 7 points is quite massive when you have only a 19-point lead in the Constructors' Championship. Replay of the start then. Here we go. Reasonably okay off the line. And then here is where I stopped focusing on the inside. I basically went straight on from there. Perhaps I should not have done that. I kept my eye a little bit too much on Simotic maybe. Having said that, I think Brujak just did a good job himself at executing the move there on the inside, but I think I could have done a better job myself as well. Here we have a look at his point of view. This will be quite interesting. So here I fend him off. I think over here, okay, that's enough. There's another car on my outside as well, and Brujak had bigger balls than me, braked later than me, managed to make the apex fine, and yeah, take the lead. Took the lead. That's quite clear. Here again from above. Simotic actually, I think, got the best start out of the us three. Yeah, and here, yeah, I should have covered the inside more. Yeah, totally. And then here you hope that you get a better exit, of course, and you usually do because you're on the outside line. But it wasn't enough, and therefore we have to settle down a little bit. You know, be happy with second for now, and try to battle with him later on in this race. Lap 7 of the race. Let's see if we can set up a move here on Brujak in order to retake the lead of this race. I'll try to save some fuel if I can, but I haven't done so yet.
Okay.
He is struggling more than I am at the moment. Again, saving boost here, saving fuel.
Tires are back on target. Tires are back on target. Tires still look good. Tires look good.
Okay, so that was the situation or the team radio over the course of the last couple of laps. Remember, whenever I skip, so for example I skip there from lap 1 to lap 7, the next team radio you always hear after the cut, so to say, are always in chronological order. So that's a good thing to know.
I think we should stop on 12 no matter what he does, as long as we have the gap, which we do have a good gap right now.
So I'm trying to save a little bit of fuel in the first couple of laps. I didn't do so, like you could hear on the radio as well. You're looking at lap 12 for our pit stop. That is relatively early. But what I remember, actually, this race was quite a while ago, but what I remember for this race, or coming into this race, is our engineer Justin had a kind of vision in mind, which reminded us of Malaysia. Remember in Malaysia when we were leading, we went with quite an early pit stop, earlier than Brilliac, who was behind us, which is a little bit unusual, because usually the guy in second, for example, is the guy who wants to make the undercut work. But we pitted quite early, it worked relatively well, and thanks to that we managed to fend off, or defend the undercut. And I think Justin wanted to do the exact same here as well, so lap 12 may seem early, but whatever, you know, whatever position we're in, it seems like the best option, whether we are leading or whether we are in second, because then we can try to do an undercut.
Fuel's about what I expected. We're still a little under where we should be, but no big deal.
He seems to be extending the penultimate corner quite a lot, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I see that too. We're stopping next lap. We have the gap that we need. Push hard next lap.
The penultimate corner is here, by the way. Like Justin said, he didn't cut that down, I think. But like Justin said, we are pitting next lap, which will be coming this lap in a few seconds time. What I noticed though this first stint, was that Brilliac seemed to be extending the penultimate corner a lot, as in running off the track. Remember in FSR we have different track limits, so to say. The rules apply differently compared to real F1, because the curbs are also part of the track in F1. So basically when you have two wheels off the curb but still two wheels on the curb at the same time as well, it's not a cut. That's the way it works in FSR. So the track is not always defined by the white lines. It's usually in corners defined by the curves even. So we will be pitting this lap and let's see if we can make an undercut work on him.
Pit this lap for the hards. Should come out just ahead of Harris Carvez, just behind with a 6-second gap to Paresis or Partington.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that we have quite a big gap to P3. Burek and I are absolutely pulling away from the rest of the field. We're in a class of our own at the moment even, but we do want to overtake Burek, of course. Those 7 points could prove very beneficial in the Constructors' Championship, so that is our target. I was very confident I could do so as well. I was saving quite a bit of fuel here in this first stint. I had plenty of spare, so if I can't make the undercut work, if I cannot make the undercut work, I still have quite a bit of fuel to spare. I'm not sure if it's the same for Brilliac, but again, I felt reasonably confident. Regarding the cutting of Brilliac, the rule in FSR says you can cut 10% of your laps, so that would mean that you have the limit of 6 cuts you can make in this particular race. We enter the pit lane, Brilliac stays out.
It's gonna be tough to undercut, honestly, but you might be able to do it. Depends on what he's got left in his tires, really. A lot of people pitting behind you. Patel, Simincic, Hoyer, Brewer, Paresis. Yep, so you'll just have one car ahead of you. That's Partington. Obviously, he hasn't stopped yet. He's on 12-lap-old mediums. And
so we exit the pit lane. Justin said that he expected it was quite difficult to perform the undercut here. Maybe he is somewhat right in the sense that I'm on the prime tire, Brilliac is on worn options. But you have to remember as well, those tires are worn and we have fresh tires. Even if it is the slower compound, the prime compound compared to the option, it's still a bit faster, I would say, compared to the worn option. But who knows? We'll see how we do it. Obviously, it's pushing all the way on this outlap. You saw there a little bit of oversteer as well, as I tried to put the power down as soon as possible. These tires need to be somewhat warmed up as well, but that's not really an issue in these cars, to be honest. These tires are very, very early, you know, performing at the optimal level, so to say. That's what I was looking for. So we pitted indeed in lap 12. Hopefully we can make an undercut work. And if we can make it work, can we then also extend the gap to Brilliac? One thing which I always keep in mind is that I was 4/10 faster than Brilliac in quali, but that doesn't always go and carry over into a race. Not at all. In fact, it can be the opposite. You don't always, you aren't always fast in race if you are in the quali as well. There are a lot more variables in the race.
Brilliac pits.
So Brilliac responds then to our undercut. And the question is whether he does so successfully. So can he stay ahead of us or not? We'll see it here. We come down the start-finish straight.
He's in
left
the pit
14.
box now, leaving the pit box, in the pit lane, out of the pit lane, on your left. He's behind you. You got him.
Yeah, easy peasy. So that's quite a way actually in ahead of Brilliac. So Justin thought it would be a bit difficult, but honestly, the undercut is always so strong, regardless of what tire you're on, because they are always fresh, and therefore it's quite easy to execute an undercut. I think I used a little bit of boost on my outlap as well, just to make sure that I would get ahead of Brilliac. Obviously, we saved some fuel in the beginning stage of the race, like I said before, and therefore we were able to use that fuel. Lap 16 of the race though, and Brilliac is actually hanging on to us. I couldn't really pull away at all from him. And in fact, he's going to launch a move here on our inside. Brakes very late, and I think he overshoots it. He does indeed. So we're coming from very far behind. But you know, I anticipated on that. I saw him coming, and he braked too late. So you do a switchback, ta-da, and you get him back. Well done.
Well played.
Yep, Justin saying it there as well. Well played. It's a little bit frightening, I guess, when you see a car coming from a little bit far back, launching it up your inside. But I thought that I braked already pretty late, and to see him braking then even later, you anticipate on that, and you execute a switchback. We skipped to lap 25. Our last time round, Brilliac was slightly quicker than us. I'm actually trying to save you, trying to play the long game.
I'd say the tires are actually more important than fuel right now. We're 1% under where we should be on the tires. Fuel is less important. We're actually up on fuel. Rear tires look better, and the front tires have stopped getting worse, so this is good. No change on fuel. Continue at full attack. He's out of DRS range.
Good. I was pushing last couple of laps.
Good job. I don't know how you saved the front tires and broke DRS, but whatever.
I'll take it. I'm hoping he's destroying his tires and I can be faster at the end of the stint. Well, not yet, because Brilliac launches an attack on the outside of us into the hairpin, and he does so brilliantly. Stays on the track as well, but I had that one covered. I was for a moment, or Brilliac was for a moment out of our DRS range, but he closed up again, and look at this. He had his front wing alongside my rear tire, so I could not turn into the corner as we go side by side into the triple apex right-hander. This is amazing stuff. Brilliac is actually ahead, and I'm gonna go for another attack on the inside of the penultimate corner. This is fabulous stuff. Fantastic racing. It's still side by side coming into the final corner. Who is gonna get the arrest? That's the question. I think... Who has it? We have it. Yeah, our rear wing is open, so we have the DRS. Hopefully that means we can stay ahead of Brilliac. What a big fight we are seeing here. It all started in the hairpin with an outside maneuver of Brilliac. He brakes really late for the for the turn 1 hairpin, but he actually braked a little bit too late, and I had that one covered on the inside. So breathtaking battle there. Very hard fight. Like I said before, at one moment I had Brilliac outside of my DRS zone, so it went very well. That's also the moment where Justin said maximum attack with the boost. But I don't know, for some reason I was skeptical using a lot of boost here. I, for some reason, wanted to keep some spare for the whole race, basically, until lap 50 or something, where you deploy all of it. And here, I don't think it was really smart for me to open up the door. Yeah. Honestly, this is aggressive, by the way. This penultimate corner is aggressive. I think there was a bit of wheel banging, but honestly, it's in my opinion a fantastic battle. But what I wanted to say, I left the door open a little bit in the slow left-hander wheel coming up too soon. And Brilliac simply put his nose alongside us, and at that point onwards, I couldn't turn in anymore. what I always feel like as a driver, if there's someone alongside me, even if he did come from very far back, you are not gonna turn in on him. I mean, in my opinion, it's a little bit stupid to do that. Racing comes from two sides, in my opinion. It comes from the attacking side and from the defending side as well. If the attacking party comes from very far and puts his nose alongside you, I don't think you can basically.
Would you say that penultimate corner was fair?
Yeah,
we did make contact, but we made some we did make contact, but I think I left them room.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, so I just got some asked for some confirmation there. Like I said in the previous videos, I always do that when we have a hard battle like that and there is contact made. I asked my engineer whether that was all fine. Like I said though, if there's someone alongside you, you're not gonna turn in, even if it is from very far back. But yeah, that's why I guess I somewhat left the door wide open as well. Good move.
Fuel and tires look good. This is lap 28. Lap 28. We stop on 33. Brewer P5 right now. Brewer P5.
Buriak seems to be faster than us at the end of the stint. He's doing an awesome job. It's hard to keep him behind.
You're building the gap that we need, though. Right now, I just need you to be faster than Simoncic, and you are. We might need to stay out. If we pit now, we come out right behind Simoncic and Patel, who are battling for P3. If you pit now, you come out in that battle. I think we should stay out, if you're comfortable with the tires. We almost have the gap. One more lap, please. Give me everything you got. We're pitting this lap. Push like hell this final sector. We can come out ahead of Patel, I think. It's going to be very close, but you'll have the inside leg coming out of the pits.
Okay, so we planned to stop on 33, and then there was one moment where Justin said on the team radio, listen, you're gonna have to stay out, man, otherwise if we pit on lap 33 you will come out in the battle between Simoncic and Patel, and that is only going to slow us down. Buriak, however, seems to smell his opportunity, goes for the inside of the hairpin. We have the inside again. This is gonna be another side-by-side battle, isn't it? Yes, it is indeed. Side-by-side for this final sector. This will be interesting because we know that we are going to pit at the end of this lap. And does Buriak pit? I don't know. Buriak squeezing us a little bit wide there, and he has the inside, or sorry, he doesn't have the inside line, but he is ahead of us already going into there. So good move from Buriak. Once again, we swap positions, and does Buriak pit? If he is smart, he does, and he does indeed pit. So we're both in then in lap 34, and now it most likely is going to be close between Simoncic and Patel, like Justin said, because they are battling. So this could get quite interesting. Lap 34 of the race. Patel is now ahead of us again. Final stint. Can we take him back?
Okay, there might be 4 of you at turn 1, but we had no other option. Okay, Simoncic pits, so it's just Patel.
So it's just Patel, Buriak and us heading into turn 1 here. Where is Patel? There he is. He's already going into turn 1, and he actually seems to outbrake himself going into turn 1. But no, he went for an undercut on us.
You got Patel. You got Patel. He's on your left. He's still there.
He went for a switchback on us, and he is now side by side coming into the S's. Is there going to be contact here? I don't hope so, but there is some contact. We have to save the car. Patel spins around. And that is good, obviously, for Buriak. Fantastic news for Buriak. Look at the gap he has got immediately after the battle we've had with Patel. Patel, I thought I braked him going into turn 1, then went very deep, obviously, into the corner, straightened his car up as early as good, so he could get a good exit.
Nice, you fuck up your own race. Nice job. Very clever.
He straightened up his car as early as he could, so he could fight back at us again. And immediately I knew this is a tactic. This is some kind of tactic from Twister, obviously. Patel, who is not driving for Twister, but is driving for the sister team of Twister, obviously was going to help his teammate Buriak. Well, his teammate, it's not his sister teammate Buriak here. And here we see that move from Buriak where it all started. There was a bit of contact there. I felt like that, perhaps he could have left a little bit more room, but I'm not going to cry about that. He already had me here basically fair and square. It's hard to go side by side through this entire complex, you have to be honest. But that team radio with Patel, obviously you heard some kind of aggression in there as well. I did not expect this from Patel. I honestly didn't. Obviously he has got all right to do this, to play this kind of tactic. Here you can see it clearly. Obviously he had one task, and that was two tasks, and that was one to let Buriak through, and two to try to race very hard against us. try to make us lose as much time as possible to Brilliac for the constructors, obviously. Here we go side by side. Patel went too much on the curb there, understeered off, I feel like, and then there was some contact made.
Yeah, he understeered into you. They're showing a replay. You're fine. That's all his fault.
Yeah, no shit. Honestly.
Yeah, then I make a little Vettel impression saying honestly. No, but on a serious note, I find these kind of things a little bit meh. I didn't really expect for Patel doing this. I mean, if he wants to do it, it's fine. But it doesn't do his own race any favor at all. It is somewhat stupid to do, in my opinion, to go that hot into that.
I'm back in DRS.
So we're only doing 22 laps on this stint now instead of 23. You'd set your PB on the final lap in the simulation, so you can push a little bit harder than you did last time. 10 seconds to the car behind.
Okay, now we're coming up to a crucial part of the race. Firstly, let me flash back to the thing we've had with Patel. Are we going to launch an in-tack on Brilliac here? No. Nope. See, I was on the inside of Brilliac. Brilliac does it as well. I'm on the inside, basically. I have my front wing alongside his rear wheel, and he leaves a little bit of space on the apex for me. That's very clever of him, because I don't know, why would you turn in when there's someone alongside? However, with Patel, I talked to him after the race as well. I was a little bit frustrated with that. Honestly, a little bit is even a bit of an understatement. I was very frustrated with Patel. Now you have to look at Patel's point of view as well. From his point of view, it makes quite a bit of sense that he does that. He wants to help his sister teammate. But the way he did it, in my opinion, was a little bit meh, because I could have easily crashed there as well. Perhaps it was a little bit of a miraculous save. It seems easier to save the car in that moment, in that situation, than it really is. It seems easier than it is. It looks easier than it is. But if he or if we were to spin after that kind of contact, you know, I think I would have absolutely exploded. I'm not gonna lie. So I understand that he does it. That be clear. It makes sense that he wants to help his teammate. We probably would do the same. You know, that's clear. But you know, the way he did it, to fight hard, to fight so hard back, it doesn't do his own race any good, and it doesn't do my race any good either, because we lost a bit of ground to Brilliac. Luckily though, we were able to close it up. I'm gonna close that chapter with Patel. I made quite a bit of a fuss about it after the race, but right now I'm a lot more calm about it. Lap 39 though, here we go on the inside perhaps. Nope, Brilliac brakes very late. Actually, we both brake incredibly late. Brilliac somewhat overshot the corner, but so did I, so I couldn't really capitalize it. However, this battle seems to be heating up. With 16 more laps to go, can we get by him? That's the question, of course.
Tires are 2% worse all around, but again, that's fine. You should be fine even still at the end of the race. Yeah,
the positive thing after pitting, the positive thing of pitting one lap later than you plan to do, was basically that you have a bit more tire life left for this final stint. So those 2%, the 2% worse, just in talking about on the tire life, doesn't really mean much, because those 2% are based on pitting lap 33, and we pitted in lap 34. So we have a bit of headroom there. Tire wear, basically, simply put, is not a problem here at all. We close up very fast on Brilliac once again, having a look on the inside. There's some contact. Yep, there was some contact with the side pod there. Brilliac left a bit of space on the inside, but I went pretty quick in there as well, so a bit of contact made. Luckily, nothing too serious. Brilliac left, you know, not a lot of room, but yeah, just about enough, of course. And then I also took quite a bit of speed into there, so a bit of contact was made. No problem whatsoever though. We both keep on racing, and with 15 more laps to go now, we you know, are looking to make a move in rather soon. Is it here then? DRS wide open, perhaps brake late into turn 1. He doesn't defend the inside. He's somewhat, you know, he somewhat turned in quite early to the apex, so we couldn't really do anything there. We were quite far back anyway, and with him braking rather late, that is not there's not really a lot of room to make an overtaking maneuver. This is lap 46 though. Again, you go for the inside here at the end of the long straight, but because Burke has the outside line, he is faster off the corner again in the traction zone on the exit, and he stays ahead. But this is a fascinating battle we are seeing here.
Can we, well, how much spare fuel have we got?
You got spare fuel. As of now, you'll finish with 1.7 liters spare, 1.7 spare. And if you only need half a liter as you cross the line, that means you got a spare liter, spare 1.2 liters.
Okay, so we've got quite a bit of fuel left, luckily, after the first two stints, of course, where I saved a bit of fuel. And now then, this is the position I wanted to be in. I have some spare fuel now. There are about 9 more laps to go. We have to play it smart though. Burek this time doesn't really defend the inside. We go for the inside, and there's contact. Contact between the two of us. We both keep a going. There's a little bit of a glitch there going on with the track. Lap 47 though, and contact is made, and there goes the win out of sight, you would think. Burek is off into the distance. There he is on the horizon, and after the contact into turn 1, you know, you have to start from 0 again, but honestly it's starting from -50 or whatever, because there is quite a big gap to Burek. So man, I wanted to say that, you know, I should play it smart there. I had some fuel left to spare, and contact is made there on the apex of turn 1. It was, in my opinion, a factor of Burek braking quite early and us braking very late. There was the contact being made, and the thing is, I'm not alongside at all when turning into the corner. I do come from very far back, and yeah, I don't know if Burek saw me, to be honest. Like, we skip, or this is a replay of lap 34. Look at this. This is almost the identical move that I made on Burek. Almost identical. The difference is though, I see him coming and I leave space for him on the apex of turn 1. Here we see it. Look, there's plenty of space for him on the apex of turn 1. This is a side-by-side comparison. Top right is lap 34. Bottom left is the incident we just saw. And this is the difference. We both came from incredibly far back. However, I saw Burek coming and I left space for him on the apex of turn 1. Again, I don't know if Burek even saw me. I take you back to Singapore, and I make quite a big point about this, because this is a turning point for me in the championship, in the way that I'm thinking. Here again, Burek is very far behind. He is not even alongside on the turning point. He is, however, being left space on the apex of the corner. And I think I somewhat expected that from Burek as well.
That was my bad.
Yeah, no big deal. Brewer's in P5.
And Kiss?
P6.
I would like to get that guy. Has he got damage?
Don't think so. No, he looks fine. 19 seconds to the car behind. Don't worry. You could even pit and go for fastest lap if you want.
I want to go for P1.
3 seconds.
Okay, there is a lot of information right now which we have to talk about. I'll do it after the race, and then bring up the the Singapore and the side-by-side comparison again, because there was, I was disappointed with Burek. I'm gonna put it like that, and you have to remember, I was at fault. I don't want to make or I don't want to argue about that, because I was at fault. The rules state that when the attacking party is not alongside at turn-in point, then the attacking party is being seen at fault, and I wasn't alongside at all in the turn-in point. So therefore I should rightly be seen as being at fault.
Tires are about 4% worse than Sim at this point, just so you know. 4% worse.
I mean, that is not the point I'm trying to make here. If there's a penalty at the end of the race, I would accept it, because I came from too far back. I wasn't alongside at the turning point, and strictly going by the rules, I was at fault. However, I basically thought that Burek would at least leave some space. That is the point though I'll talk about after the race, so make sure that you stay tuned for that, because it is very important for me in the way I was going to think about the final race in this season. We'll talk about that later though, not now, as we just made an overtake on Brujak again, and again we are actually side by side coming into here. Remember, we have seen this one before where Brujak squeezed us a little bit on the exit. We leave plenty of space for him to go through there side by side. Again, we're side by side in the triple apex. Are we again gonna go side by side into the penultimate corner? It does look like it. Brujak has a great momentum, but we are still alongside. Bit of oversteer there on the exit of the penultimate corner. There's even again wheel banging in the penultimate corner, last corner. Then we have the inside line, and will we have the DRS again? The answer is no. Brujak has got it this time round. We go all the way to the inside just to make sure that we have got the inside line coming into turn 1, and that he doesn't have to slipstream. Side by side, is Brujak going to do it? The answer is, well, we don't know. We are still side by side. This is fascinating to see. Two drivers still side by side as we have 3 more laps to go in this race for the win. We went through here side by side with Patel before. This time we get through there without any damage. Still side by side, and here it goes wrong. Again, there is contact made between ourselves and Brujak, or Brujak and ourselves I should say, and we drop back to P2. So oh man, again there's contact made, and we are back in P2. I closed the gap of 4 or 5 seconds. I know that Brujak is going to blame it on damage or whatever. Maybe he had damage, I don't know, after the what is it, lap 40, well, I don't know, even 47 I think, lap 47 contact into turn 1. Maybe he had some damage or whatever that slowed him down. You will probably use that as an excuse, but we closed the gap massively, which I didn't really expect. Then in lap 54 we went at it again, side by side for so many corners. But there is contact made again. The first one I am clearly at fault. Although again I think Brujak could have done something to save or to avoid contact. But for this one I think it's more 50-50 actually. Personally I went too hot into the corner, as in I didn't really make the apex. I could have been more towards the apex, could have been more towards the inside and take the curb, because I wasn't even on the curb. And at the same time Brujak again just turned in quite severely. We'll see it in the replay though. Honestly I think this is 50-50, because I again was not on the curb myself. I could have been more towards the inside of the corner, and Brujak I think cut us off a bit too much. But we'll have a look at that in the replay. I'm sure Brujak will be crying and disagreeing, or at least I assume so. We both got oversteer there, by the way, at the exit of the penultimate corner. Here is then where it all started, basically into turn 1. You both rate very late, of course. You see us locking the inside tire there. Honestly, this is quite meh. You know, it's squeezing him quite far towards the outside of the track, but probably all within the rule books. Here is then where it starts. Unlike Patel, we don't understeer off the curb there, but here it is. Let's have a look. So from my point of view, pay attention. I'm way too far off the curb obviously, or way too far. I'm quite far off the curb obviously, and what I want you to pay attention to especially is Brujak's steering wheel, like around here. See, like right before the contact, he even turns in more to the corner. If you have plenty of spatial awareness, in my opinion, you can smell that you are cutting off too much, and that results in contact. That's the way I feel. But again, I think it's a bit 50-50. It's nice from the yeah, what is it, the helicopter cam, this camera here. Yeah, I would honestly put this down to a racing incident. I really would, because I think both Brujak and ourselves.
2.1 to the car ahead, 2.1. OFR will finish 15 points ahead in the championship if we finish like this. 15 points ahead.
We tried.
I reckon both of us could have done more to avoid contact there. That's the final word I'll give on that. Lap 55 out of 56 though. Again, not really giving up, but it seems like the gap is too big for me to really close up again. And it seems like we haven't.
1.7 to the car ahead. 1.7. Yeah,
1.7. We are closing obviously like we did before, but I doubt it will be enough. And there was a lot of frustration because I'm gonna have to be honest as well. I got outsmarted. I simply got outsmarted by Brujak in the way that I was planning this race to make a move somewhere at the end, somewhere in the final stint, and it all looked quite well. You know, I had the fuel. I thought I had the upper hand, and when you have the upper hand, you have to strike effectively and very, very sharp. You have to be very sharp. And I was very, very loose in the actions that I made. I was very loose in the performance of this race. I should have chosen my moment a lot better than I actually did, and I had that plenty of times during this race. And honestly, the way that I got outsmarted is mostly thanks to the brilliant driving from Bruerek, because whatever you want to say, he is the one who outsmarted us. And I honestly thought that I could prevent that, and I failed. I failed in doing so, and you can see it here. I mean, again, we closed up. I think we had the pace, and that's why I also think we got outsmarted. We had the pace, we had extra fuel, and still Bruerek is probably going to finish ahead of us. Having said that, we come very close in the penultimate corner, and it's actually going to be a very close finish, but not close enough for us to actually win the race. So it's second place and only 18 points.
Are you trying for like a closest finish record or something there?
I just tried to win the race.
.066.
Yeah, he outsmarted me, and we had the pace, so we should have played it more smart. At least I should have, but yeah, it didn't work what I tried.
That's all right. He got us when he overtook us on that lap. If it wasn't for Patel and Simičić being exactly 18 seconds behind you guys, that would have gone very differently. We would have pitted on 33. We would have come out 3 seconds ahead of Briliak. You would have managed it from there. But, you know, that's all right. Like I said, Brewer ended up finishing 5th. Kiss got by him, though, finished in 4th. But Brewer then passed Partington for 5th. So you guys picked up 28 points, and they got 37 points. So it's 9 points. So OFR leads by 11 points heading into the next race. So if you guys finish 1st and 5th again, or 2nd and 5th again, and they finish 1st and 4th again, OFR are champions.
What? Kiss finished ahead of Brewer.
He was on, because he was on that 3-stop, so he was on fresh options. So I mean, Brewer tried his best, he did, but, you know, he was on the same strategy as you, so he was on pretty worn primes at that stage, and Kiss just kind of flew through. He got past Partington and Brewer pretty easily, and he was even harassing Journey at the end. So Kiss's 3-stop ended up not being so bad, actually. And then when you and Briliak made contact at turn 7, some people were blaming you. Most people were saying it's kind of a racing incident. It did look like you could have been a little bit further to the left, but I mean, you came off much worse than Briliak did, so I don't think there's going to be a penalty or anything.
I could have taken the apex more. I agree on that.
Right. Yeah, and they again showed a slow motion replay, and yeah, we saw that you were just off the curb. You could have been maybe, you know, half a meter more to the inside of the corner, not even
true.
Half a meter,
yes,
quarter
true.
meter.
Thing is, I'm not sure. I have to look back, but I got the feeling he sometimes dive bombed the shit out of me too. I do it, and then he closes the door. So.
Right.
But I have to review that because maybe I'm completely wrong.
I mean, at the same time, I know it might be hard to realize this from your perspective right now, but that was like some damn good racing from a spectator point of view. I was watching the stream too and watching people's reactions and stuff. They were going nuts for your guys' battle. Oh man, I wish we had battles that good in real F1. That was fucking incredible.
So a very long chat there in the team ready after the race. Finally, that race is over. I can breathe again. I can explain things from my point of view, because there are some things which probably need explanation. Firstly, the move with Patel. I was quite frustrated at the time during the race and even after the race, the way he did that, the way he approached it. Again, I understand that he did it. He wanted to help Briliak, but I think he could have done it a little bit more smarter, because he messed up his own race by doing that as well. That is all fine though, that is all settled. The biggest part though, which for me changed the way I was going into the last race, was the incident with Brilliak. You heard it on the team radio there as well. You also heard some disappointment when Justin said that Kiss finished ahead of Brewer. You focus so much on the Constructors' Championship, you want to finish ahead of Twister so badly. And then you have a bad day like this where both, where Brilliak outfinished us and Kiss outfinished or outscored Brewer, who was our teammate as well. So you have to conclude that Twister did a better job than us this race, and I think that has to be true. And because of that, I also felt like I didn't feel confident at all going into the last round in Brazil, because of one reason which I'll mention soon, but also because I feel like we're on the back foot. Last couple of rounds Twister have outscored us quite, a fair amount of time. I only remember Malaysia where we were actually quite a bit faster than Brilliak at the end of like 56 laps, because the whole time, every lap, it was like half a tenth the difference or a tenth even. So they keep closing the gap to us, and we have to say now stop. We have to say stop for the final round. We have to give it our all one more time in order to get the Constructors' Championship. But again, the momentum, I feel like, lies with them, and we are on the back foot. Now, to make that even harder, now let me actually come back to that later in a few minutes. The thing with Brilliak, that needs explanation. Firstly, I would like to point out that I was at fault. I was clearly at fault because, as the rules state, I was not alongside at the turn-in point. However, what I do is I look at the way I race over the course of this season against other people. When I get dive bombed from very far back, you feel it. You feel it as a driver, you can hear it by the sounds, you have mirrors as well. You feel the car behind you braking later than you, and thus you change your line accordingly to avoid contact. What you can do, of course, is simply turn in on him, on the driver. If I were to defend and someone attacks me from very far back, does a dive bomb, is not alongside a turn-in point, what I could do as well is turn in on him and look for contact, and then afterwards, after the race, I cry to the stewards and say he's not at alongside a turn-in point, give him a penalty. That's that's one thing you can do. Then you look for contact, which is not what we want to see. We don't want to see that. We want to see fair, good racing, side-by-side action. And I think that not only the attacking party has to take that into consideration, but also the defending party. When you get dive bombed, you cannot turn in to someone else. Well, you can do that and then later on go to the stewards and cry there. But what's the fun in that? Because you basically look for contact. It could take you out of the race as well. So, why would you turn when you get dive bombed? That's the one thing. Now the other thing, and this is where a bit of emotion for me kicks in. Not that I'm gonna cry here, but it's more anger. It's more frustration. Let's put it like that. Firstly, I got beaten fair and square this race. I got outsmarted by Brilliak. But I can think of so many instances where I'm being dive bombed by, for example, Brilliak, and I leave space on the apex of a corner. What I could have done is turn in on him, look for contact, cause contact, and then go to the stewards and they will give him a penalty. But again, I don't see fun in doing that. That is, in my opinion, not the approach you can take into a race. I feel like plenty of times when I get dive bombed or someone is not alongside me at turn-in point, I still leave room for the car on the apex of the corner because he's going to near, because he brakes late. It is hard racing. That is what we would like to see. So whenever I get dive bombed, I try to leave space for someone on the apex of a corner, but Brilliak in this case does not do the same to me at all. Again, I'll bring up the footage that I showed before. This is one footage, obviously. This was okay. This was Brilliak's dive bomb. So clearly not alongside at all at the turn-in point, not at all. But I see him coming. I leave space for him at the apex of the corner. Now again, here you can see it. This is a good example. The difference that the defending party takes in terms of line is really very much different. let's pause it. So here we go. Let's pause it here. The difference here is very, very, very clear. Now, again, I'm at fault, but the way I feel like, the way I felt about it, and maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. That doesn't necessarily matter, because it's the feeling I got after this race, and feelings are all are human, are part of human. The way I felt like it is that I try to make the racing as best as I can. I try to avoid contact at all times, even if it isn't really correct what someone else does by the rules. I try to avoid making contact at all times. There are so many instances I can think of where I have been dive bombed and I leave space on the apex of the corner, because who would turn in when there's someone alongside you? And then for once I make a dive bomb and someone turns in on me, and that's the way I felt about it. I felt like I always try my best to leave a car racing room, but when I do it, then the other guy says, nope, I'm going to turn in on you, and shut the door. Now I'm at fault, so the only one I can blame obviously is myself. I cannot point the finger to Brilliac and say, look, you are at fault for that, because it's not true. I'm at fault for it, but I expected, I didn't expect it from Brilliac. Let me put it like that, because if the way I look at it is, it's Singapore as well. I easily could have turned in on Brilliac and then go to the stewards and he would get a penalty. But is that the way I want to do it? It's not at all. But now, because he did this, I somewhat regret not turning in on him actually. And from a racing point of view, who would like to see other people turning in on each other? That's not the way we want. That's not what we want to see, is it? So, you know, if this is why it changed my mentality for the last round. If in Brazil I get dive bombed by a twister, I'm going to turn in and I'm going to protest to the stewards, because that's the way I was going to take it from this race onwards. And I'm not happy with it, I'm not proud of it, but if someone does it to me, I feel like I need to do it back as well. It's a bit of a shame, because Burek even apologized for his dive bomb at Suzuka, or sorry, at Singapore. He even found it himself quite aggressive, but you know what? I find it fine. I think it's hard racing, and if you do it, then I think it's the fault from the defending party, not defending the inside line. If someone goes for a dive bomb on you, I think as a defending party you're already too late, unless the guy who dive bombs cannot even make the corner himself, obviously. Then it's an unfair dive bomb. But I think there are dive bombs which are actually very fair when you can make a corner. So how I see it is, if you get dive bombed, you either defend the inside very early on, so the guy cannot defend, you have to go around the outside, or you don't defend at all and don't turn in at all on the guy. But that is something which Brilliac didn't, you know, I guess it didn't apply for him. He turned in on us, and so there was contact, and obviously, and I agree with that, we are at fault. So it changed my mentality a little bit again going into Brazil. I try to do the best I can to avoid contact, but when I go for a dive bomb, someone else does turn in on me and does look for contact. Oh man, you know, if we want to do it that, and then on top of that, obviously Twister protests at the end of this race. We get the penalty for Brazil, which is going to make life incredibly hard for us. And again, this is something I cannot have respect for at all. If you remember Australia, Kiss was rejoining the track in a very stupid way, and he crashed us out, and I said, you know what, you know, it can happen, apology accepted, and you move on. I didn't go to the stewards, I didn't cry. Patel as well at Catalonia, he dive bombed us, he couldn't make the corner himself, and crashed us out into the gravel basically. Okay, you know, I didn't protest, it can happen, we are all human, we all can make mistakes, but you know what, again, I regret not turning in on someone, and I regret not protesting someone. Is that really the way we want to do it? Apparently yes. I really hope that Twister gets a medicine of their own taste at Brazil, and hopefully we can clinch the constructors there, but again, we are on the back foot. And as you can notice, I am quite frustrated about the whole situation. I'm recording this at the end of December, and I'm not frustrated about it anymore. But I'm trying to convert myself into the person I was after that race, because after the race I had quite a lot of frustration. I'm trying to imitate right now, or I'm trying to express the feelings that I got at the time. Hopefully I did that well. One thing that I would like to know as well is that I can only blame myself for what happened this race, because if I played it myself smarter, I wouldn't have to sit here and cry about what Burek did, obviously. And I can only point the finger towards myself for that. I could have played it smarter, I should have played it smarter, but there are just a few certain things where I wasn't happy with. But I learned from it, I'll do it differently next time, and hopefully we will still put the Constructors Trophy where it belongs, which is, in my opinion, in OFR's, at OFR, and that's all I can say. So obviously I'm trying to express my feelings at the time, whether they are right or wrong. I think if I look at back at it right now, the frustration was somewhat right, but at the same time, if you don't screw up yourself, as in if you don't get outsmarted yourself and you plan an overtake rightly yourself, you also don't have to cry about it as much as I do now. The last 10 minutes or so were all feelings that I got after the last round, and I'm trying to express them right now. Looking back at it, I think I could have done or I should have stayed a little bit more calm and stick the finger or point the finger towards myself, because I could have done a much better job myself that race as well. And if I did a better job that race, I probably wouldn't even be here again and crying. So I'm gonna close it off there. That was a very long talk. I hope you guys all understand it. I hope you accept the situation. I hope you can understand the frustration. And if you think that the frustration is wrong, then obviously you can think that. You are free to think that. You can even put it in the comment section. I'm quite interested, in fact, in listening to your thoughts about this. I really am. And you don't have to agree with me at all. Please let that be clear. If you disagree with me, then please let me know, because I would like to know your point of view on this situation at all. Very, very much so. That only, that's only a valuable factor for me in the way that I'm gonna look back at it. So thank you all for watching. A very, very long talk indeed. Last race at Brazil will have a penalty, 5-place grid penalty. It will be difficult. We're also on the back foot, I feel. So can we clinch it? It will be difficult. The only advantage that we have got to clinch onto is that we are in the lead of the constructors. Let's hope that we can do well at Brazil and clinch that constructors home. There will be certain things I'll do differently for next race. If there's a twister alongside me, I'll make sure to turn in on him if he was alongside that turn-in point. That's the way we want to do it in FSR, I guess. Thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, I would sincerely appreciate a like. Again, feel free to express your opinions, they are all welcome, and I hope that you have a great day. See you later, Happy New Year by the way, and goodbye.